So I wanted to introduce our next speaker, Elena Pourmal. She is the Director of Technical Services and Operations, or as she's shortened here, Director of Engineering. Elena?
Hello, my camera is not working, but I just want to wave you. So I'm a real person, not a ghost. And I will turn off my camera and I will start with presentation. Thank you, Mike, and thank you, Lori. I will be talking about HDF5 toward the community-driven open source project. As you know, HDF5 was always open source project, but in the past we had not too many contributions, even we work with the community, not too many contributions to the source code, documentation, educational materials. We hope with our current activities we'll start changing this and really move HDF5 toward it will be community-driven open source project. And now okay, it's just some delay. So I will be talking about the state of HDF5 and HDF5 group efforts that we took this year to revamp HDF5 is mostly toward to community driven. I will talk about HDF5 roadmap for 2021, and usually in the same talks in the past, I would say, oh, that's what will come in the next years. This time, I don't dare to say this. We really want to start conversation and ask you what is on your wish list. And Lori posted in chat window the link to the Google Doc, and it will stay there for all 3 days where you can put your concerns, your admiration for us, your wish list, whatever you want. We really want to hear from you and learn where we should go and get your advice in our future direction. For some reason, it's very slow for me to change. Okay. Okay, so state of HDF5, or what we focused on in this year. This year was really very tumultuous for us, not only because of COVID, but because biggest effect was our long-awaited HDF5 1.12 release, which we introduced new feature to enable access to HDF5 data stored in object store and in the cloud. We also focused, and it took a lot of effort to start moving in the right direction to address performance gap between our very early release, which is already probably 10 years old, 1.8, and later maintenance releases. We introduced a lot of features, and with every new feature, we had small overhead, and we ended up, you will see on the graph, really bad performance. So we took it very seriously, and we put a lot of effort in addressing this performance. And there were a lot of enhancements then done to improve scalability of parallel applications. Common vulnerability and exposure issues were reported to us, and we are moving through them. I just want to tell everyone, you shouldn't be worried too much about those. People report those by manually modifying HDF5 files and corrupting them intentionally, but it helps us to improve the quality of the code and make liability to fail gracefully on the corrupted files. Thanks to one of our customers, we were able to reduce number of compilation warnings. HDF5 works on many platforms, many compilers, so we couldn't do it for every compiler and every platform, but we took GCC compiler and we went from 1,000 of warnings to just a few hundred of them, and we are watching now very carefully. This is part of our procedure, how we accept contributions and doing changes. We watch about compilation warnings very closely. And we finally moved from supporting HDF, which had a license, and only academic institutions and non-for-profits could use encoder and decoder both in HDF compression. There is now open source HDF compression library from German Climate Computing Center. And we now distribute and we test and distribute our binaries with this source code. So this is a very good compression for floating point. You're now free to use it with your products because it's open source. It bears BSD license. So now we are good with HDF. Just quick word about closing performance gap. As I said, because of new features we introduced, we kind of performance suffered, especially in the earliest 1.10 releases. We identified several bottlenecks and we went through the first 2 bullets and now working on the third bullet, which we hope, as you will see, will give us, we are not much better now comparing to the initial 110 series, and at that time development branch, which is now here, is in the same bulk. But we are very close to 1.8, and hopefully after we finish usage of internal data structures for identifiers looks up, we will come to the bulk of 1.8. But not every application was affected by this. On the right, you see on the left, I kind of jumping. This is what we saw for applications that create a lot of small data sets. On the right, you see testing measurements of testing results for CGNS library that we use as one of our benchmarks with every release. And we see that with 110 series and 112, we're really performing much better. So if your application is not affected, you are really encouraged to move to the latest 110 or 112 release. And I appeal to everyone, please take part in testing for the new releases and report any performance issues as soon as you find it. We'll add your benchmark to our regression testing benchmark suite, and we will address the issues. This is just a graph. I will not talk in detail about it, but with parallel performance applications, we went from some applications running by days, this is red line, going to minutes. And blue line represents kind of the best and most efficient known scenario in parallel world when each rank writes to its own file. So we are writing to shared file very efficiently. Just quick highlight about 112 release. You will be learning during this workshop about our new virtual object layer and HDF5 wall connectors that allow HDF5 applications to access data stored in different file formats to improve performance, access data in object store and in the cloud. We will be talking about REST wall, DEOS wall, and many walls under development that we are working with, collaborating on with our colleagues from national labs. We introduced HDF5 external references. Now we support references support, this feature supports references to attributes stored in the same file or in different file, and references to objects and dataset selections that can reside in another HDF5 file. It is one of the mechanisms, along with external links, to combine and reference data that is spread through collections of HDF5 files. And thanks to our biggest community contributor, Quincy Kazol, hyperslab selection code and selection code was improved by order of magnitude. And as I said, there were several optimizations to parallel applications. In 1.10.7 release that was very recent, we added two new VFDs, and John Mazer will be talking later today about split and mirror VFD. So I will not spend time here. What is important for users who experience problems with our HDF5 filters, we finally modified how library is built in debug mode. We disabled internal memory sanity checking, which replaced malloc and free with our internal calls, and that caused problems because different malloc functions were used by applications. So now this problem occurs. Please let us know if you still see any problems. And for our Nexus community, synchrotron community, we finally, after many years, released H5 repack that you can now follow external links and merge data so you can repack data in one file. There were improvements into enhancing file locking control that we introduced with the Swimmer. And there are now 4 ways how you can control file locking with environment variable, which has highest priority, with API, with the configure options, what you want to do when you encounter file locking feature on the file system, how you want application to behave. And of course, there is library default that use file locking, but ignores disabled errors, so application can proceed. It was a nice improvement to the library. very quick word about 1.8.22. We are committed to release another version of 1.8 just to keep up with compilers and operating systems. There will be some improvements to CMake, CVs, and some bug fixes. And if you want to learn more, just on GitHub, you go to release file, and you can see what features will be there. Announcement, we will be dropping 1.8 in 2021. If it takes us longer than mid-21 to fix performance gap, we probably will come with another release once again to come up with to keep up with the compilers updates and with the operating systems. Exact day will be announced on forum. Some miscellaneous information. We dropped support for Windows 7, and we announced it with 1.10.7 and Visual Studio 10, 12, and 13. So just bear in mind, it's not supported anymore. Community pushed us really hard, and we were very happy to announce that we finally share all precompiled binaries. There is a permanent location where you can go and download. It's also available through our website, and we encourage you to upload it from websites so we know who is using and so on. But if you need it, those are available through anonymous FTP. And with each release, we provide HDF5 compression plugins, and those are listed on the slide, for Windows, macOS, and Linux. And we will be updating that repository with more filters. And plugin source will be on GitHub very soon, so stay tuned for a future announcement, and I will touch the topic a little bit later in my talk. This year was really great for us in terms of outreach activities. We have a lot of webinars, blog was live, and this meeting is the evidence that outreach is going on, and it's pretty strong. We are very interested in external, not only us speaking, but we invite community to participate. We will be very happy to accommodate your talk, your blog, and please contact Lori Cooper if you would like to participate in and present at our webinar or to write blog. And we will continue with our tutorial series. Please tell us what you would like to hear from us, which topics you would like to see us presenting and discussing and improving in the future. So use a spreadsheet or just send us email through help desk or Lori or to myself about future educational materials. A big announcement. HDF5 is finally on GitHub. It was a long journey, but we are now there. It's only right now HDF5 repo, but we'll be moving all other repos to the GitHub. The next one probably will be walls and compression filters. HDF5 repo on Bitbucket is not updated anymore, so please don't use it. And if you want to know more about our procedures and description of the repo, there is a new directory added to the source code doc directory with the materials on workflow and so on. And we will put more documents for community to become acquainted with our development process and with coding standards and so on. GitHub really helped us to adopt C coding style. Once again, that was a project that was sponsored by one of our customers, and we're really grateful and very happy that we were able to accomplish this, because in the past, we had our coding standard, but it was hard to enforce. Now it is enforced by actions on GitHub. And we also provide the formatter tool, which is located in bin directory. And later in November or early December, we will have a webinar for community about our development processes and how GitHub works. So everyone who wants to participate or just want to learn about it, you will have a chance. We just moved in, and we're still trying to clean some loose ends and so on. Another big development this year was that we really started looking into documentation problems that we have been known for quite some time. And there were three biggest ones: that search engines, they don't index HDF5 docs that were served via Atlassian Confluence. access to them was really, really slow, and it was very hard to contribute. It was easy for us to maintain, but not for community to contribute. After looking for different solutions, especially we were focusing on the most usable document, HDF5 reference manual. With the help of the community, we made a decision to go to Doxygen. And when you have you will links already documentation that in doc posted on the website, and it will be released in 1.12.1. And then it will be moved to other 110 branch will be. And we worked on prototyping future documentation solution. We really want to present our documentation from one-stop website that is searchable, easy to navigate, and easy to contribute. And this is an example that we prototype using MediaWiki. And once again, if you want to explore more, links are you can go and see how it looked like. And if you get account with us, it's very easy to contribute and start writing, contributing documentation. So what is on our list for 2021? Most of the features we will be working on are we have to release them. It's current projects. We're doing them for the customers. We definitely going back to our schedule for 110 releases in May and November. It's twice a year. And 112 in June and December, exception that 112.1 may take us to January 2021, but first release candidates will be available in November. We will be releasing new features like VFD Swimmer that addresses deficiency of current Swimmer implementation. Current Swimmer does allow you to modify file structure, like adding groups, data sets, deleting, adding attributes. There is no support for VL types. New implementation will overcome these deficiencies. VL types may be still slow, but this will be different implementation. And there will be HDF5 Russian VFD, and John Mazer will be talking later in the day about it, that supports Russian control for file open-close sessions and has some provenance information. Also, that solution may help with data, with file corruption that we see when file application is terminated. There will be parallel library enhancement. We were long waiting for this, to finish this feature called subfiling. This is for those who work in parallel. You know that this kind of middle ground solution between writing data to single shared file and versus one file per process approach to improve I/O. This solution is using a virtual file drive approach, which is much easier to maintain that when solution is inside the library. And the idea behind it is HDF5 file is striped across collection of subfiles, and I/O requests from applications are routed through HDF5 library created I/O concentrators that access subfiles. Once again, this feature in works, and closer to the release, which is next September, like next summer, we will be giving webinar on it, and we will be having better numbers, but work is in full speed on this feature. This is what we are committed to release. Another major focus will be on working on performance gap, on finishing documentation. We will be finishing RM and Doxygen and working, designing one-stop documentation. And you saw probably from agenda, there will be a lot of talks about HDF5 wall connectors. We will be working with our collaborators to improving HDF5 library if needed, decreasing wall architecture overhead that you saw from my graph, and help to productize our connectors and connectors that are created by our collaborators, and will continue outreach effort. One of the biggest endeavors this year, once again, those are sponsored by one of our customers, we started looking into long demanded feature, make HDF5 library multi-threaded. We have a proof of concept, and you will hear about it in the next talk. It is a next talk. It's limited implementation. What we would like to do this year, it is really presented to community, try to find people who are willing to work with us on implementation, develop a plan for full implementation. And if you are interested, there will be a talk on October 30th at 11 o'clock Central Time. Announcement is imminent, where technical leads on this project will discuss approach and seek feedback from the community. Another two projects that we'll try to engage our community with is to implement full support for UTF encoding and working with the Unicode file names. In the past, we had quite several pages that try to address this problem. Unfortunately, page doesn't work. We really need to enhance and extend file format and do right things that it will work for every case in the library that uses strings. Smaller project, but which will be, we think, very useful. It is support for 128-bit floating point numbers, and those are used by, say, H5Pi, and files become incompatible. You cannot read that type, or maybe you can, but it's not the same precision in HDF5. And 16-bit floating numbers that are used by machine learning applications. And also there are long-standing C99 standard types like Boolean and complex that are not available in HDF5. For community members who would like to learn, those are good small projects that we can guide you through. We have good documentation and idea how it can be implemented. So we just don't have bandwidth, and we'll be glad to work with you to add those features in the library. Another topic that I would like to bring here is compression filters. We, as a company, created compression filters repo that we maintain, but that was created mostly for testing purposes. And we started distributing those filters that we test with our releases. And several customers came to us and say, which one should I use? The one that you provide, or H5 provide, or we have to provide. So we have to have this conversation, how we unify what kind of advice we give to our users with this filters library. We will be moving our project to GitHub. We will be adding it to spec builds. And we also made, in order to build them and especially make them portable on many platforms, we did some enhancements, and we would like to contribute those changes to original filters repos. So we kind of trying to reach, and will reach, to H5Pi and other communities to coordinate those distribution efforts, but maybe it's not needed. So, but stay tuned, we need to talk about compression. Here is just quick HDF Group wish list. Probably it is not a surprise for you. We are very well aware about file corruption issues that happen during catastrophic event like full disk, user pressing Ctrl+C, or system goes down. We have a pretty good list of long-standing improvements for parallel library. Many times we were asked to provide better support for new storage like common sparse data. We would like to revamp chunk cache because of performance issues and just working with the collection of files and chunk sizes of different sizes. We would like to improve performance of variable length data types and enhance data streaming. Data streaming enhancements are coming to the library, but we would like to need more. And frankly speaking, this list may continue. But what we really would like to have is what you would like to see, right? And what you can do to help with this, if you are not still registered with HDF Group site, please do, and then you will get access to Jira. You can browse through the open issues and vote if the issue is important for you. And since we're now on GitHub, we will track new issues that will be created in GitHub, but I probably will bring some most voted issues or what we think we need to fix into GitHub, and we will be using Jira only internally. So we will be migrating this way from Jira to GitHub. And with this, thank you very much for your attention. And Lori, do I have any time for questions or suggestions?
Yeah, well, you have about 4 minutes, I think.
Oh, 4 minutes. So
there's quite a bit in the Google Doc if you can get to it, or I can read.
Okay, let me open it. Just a second.
There's 4 things, I should say, not quite a lot.
So I'm showing, right?
Yep.
Would like to see HDF5 recipes example project where there are a bunch of living. Yes. This is, we would like to see it too, and we will start working on it. When the new references doc arrive, please do redirect them. Right. We're doing it from the old HTML type of documentation, but we definitely will redirect it. Filter template C code. Good point. A tutorial on IPipe parallel or common workers output to HDF5. And I'm not sure what, is it a Python parallel? So I believe it's Python.
And Elena, real quick, will there be another time that we can address additional questions?
Sure, we can, you know, roundtable was part of it. And I suggest that we use this document all 3 days. We probably should remind people, especially who didn't have chance to attend. And at the end of the workshop, I would like to summarize and come up, you know, with a discussion and present it to everyone.
Yeah,
and
so I will post.
Also, probably we can, we probably can follow up with the blog and another webinar on those issues.
So I'm sharing the link again to the Google Doc. So as Elena said, we will keep this as a live document and work with it later. Yeah, and our roundtable is at 12:45 Central. So in about 3 hours, we'll have another roundtable discussion.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other questions? API and way to apps to tell where to load dynamic plugins from instead of just environment variable. I believe we have API for this. I don't know if Lady or someone can help them with this.
Yeah, maybe if there's someone that knows or has a link, just post it in the chat to everyone.
So Quincy and Chris, the next bullet is for you, and you have 1 minute to reply.
That's awesome. I have 20 minutes to reply. We have 20 minutes to answer that question.
Okay, good. It's just next talk, right?
Yeah. So I'll go ahead and we'll switch.
Okay,
then.
Let's switch gears then.
Okay, and so, you know, guys, keep working on this document and we will get back to it.